Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, JV, coming to you live tonight on this Monday, the 14th of March of 2022. I had a conversation over the telephone with a friend of mine telling me that he's going to be visiting Amsterdam, Netherlands in late May of this coming year. And he was asking me if if I had any experience or any advice for him. And the reason he asked me this question is because back in 2004, it was actually May of 2004 to be precise, early June, I actually traveled down there. And I was there for about a week. I went with a friend of mine, and it was a crazy, crazy experience because I had never been to Europe before. I had really never been to any other country outside of the U.S. and Mexico, so it was definitely a eye-opener for me, especially considering how liberal that city tends to be. And having been back there, of course, since 2004, it's been about 18 years or so. But back then, everything was legal. Weed was legal, prostitution was legal, and it was an insane time. And he just triggered some memories that I was able to live back in 2004. I really don't know, as I mentioned, how things have changed. Because I haven't been there in 18 years. I'm pretty sure everything remains the same. People were pretty, for the most part, very indifferent about you. They really didn't even pay attention or acknowledge that you were even there. A lot of the Dutch women, Dutch men were riding their bicycles, and they really didn't even say hello or give you a smile or anything. They were very robotic, really. That's one of the things that stuck in my craw in my 1 week stay there. But he was basically asking me anyway. My friend was asking me if I had any advice for him, and I basically just told him to try and book a hotel in the main square, to make sure not to take anything. When he gets to a hotel room, not to take anything from there, because we had an encounter there where we were actually taking stuff out of the refrigerator, and we didn't even realize that they were charging you. They had like a laser on the door of the refrigerator. It was some sort of what do you call it? A magnet that was basically reading every item that you were taking out, and it was scanning the barcode, and so we were getting charged. And it turns out that when we left the hotel room, we had a humongous bill, and we had to go to the police station and actually argue with the police there. They speak pretty good English, by the way, so we were able to communicate in English without any issues. But yeah, I told them to be careful about that. The other thing, security is all right. We were actually forewarned by the flight attendants when we were flying down there to be very careful, very cautious about our surroundings, especially about our belongings. And when my friend and I went to a McDonald's there, I actually was carrying a camcorder. Back in 2004, those were very trendy, the camcorders. And I remember losing it. I actually lost my camcorder. I left it there on the chair when we were eating. About 20 minutes later, we actually walked back inside of the McDonald's, and to my surprise, to my pleasant surprise, a patron had actually returned it to one of the employees there, so I was able to recover the camcorder. And that's the other thing that I told my buddy, is to be careful with his surroundings. Not make sure not to veer off too far away from the main tourist attraction, the red light district, area, because there are a lot of everything is legal there. Uh, Recreational marijuana was legal back in 2004. I'm pretty sure many other drugs were legal, and there was a lot of people that were um, behaving in a very nefarious way. So I advise them not to veer off too far away from the tourist attraction. The other thing that I obviously um, advised them to do was to go to the red light district and check out the honeys there. When we went back in 2004, there was approximately 3,000 sex workers at the red light district. Nationalities from all over the world. It wasn't just European or Western European. There was women from South America, from North America, from the Caribbean, Africa, Asia, you name it. There was women all over the place. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the sex workers are actually legal employees. They have a pension, they have health care, they can actually contribute to their retirement accounts, believe it or not. So these are employees that are, typical employees, like a 9 to 5 worker. And so when my buddy and I went down there, I noticed that there was a lot of older women there. There was a lot of 50 to 60, 65-year-old women that were just standing there in their lingerie inside of the glass door that they normally have with the neon lights. And I got spooked, to be honest with you. I was like, what the hell is she doing here? There's nobody in their right mind that's gonna hire this lady for her services. Well, it turns out that the reason why she was there is because she's just waiting for retirement. She's just waiting to run off the clock, retire, so that she can, as I mentioned, get her pension, get her benefits after she retires, believe it or not. And I found that to be pretty creepy. If any of you guys are planning on going to Amsterdam or have never been to Amsterdam but have heard about the red light district, which is outside of recreational pot, it's probably the most sought after tourist attraction in Amsterdam. As I mentioned, this was 18 years ago. I don't know what the going rate is, but back then I remember if you wanted to be with a woman for about half an hour, they charged you like 50 euros. And even if you tried to bargain them down, it was a fixed amount. They would never go below 50 euros. That was like the starting point. And I remember my buddy who was, I hate to say it, but it's true, he was a sex addict. Haven't talked to him in many, many years, about a decade or so, but back then he was a sex addict, and he came back and he was trying to bargain this German woman who happened to be very beautiful. She was really attractive. We actually went to her place not once, not twice, 3 times, trying to get her to go below the 50 euros. My buddy was not an English speaker. He actually was a Spanish speaker. So I was working as a interpreter. I was interpreting for him. And she just wouldn't budge. She just wouldn't go below 50 euros. And at the end, my buddy caved in. He said, all right, I tried my best to pay you under that amount. Here's the 50 euros. They did their thing. I left. I was just wandering around the place. Ironically, there was a lot of kids too. It's like I said, it's a tourist attraction. It's a weird thing, where I actually saw a bus pulling in, and when I saw the people that were coming out of the bus, believe it or not, a lot of them were kids and women, and they were just lounging around the red light district looking at these women. A lot of them, like I mentioned, they're inside of this cubicle area that has like a glass door, so you can actually see inside. And a lot of them are wearing lingerie. They're wearing, erotic attire. And the kids were just wandering around looking at these women. I was like, wow, this is crazy. But then again, it's a very liberal city. Anything goes, apparently, in Amsterdam. And when my buddy left, or when my buddy was done with his thing, We actually went back to our hotel and basically didn't come out at all after that encounter. Another piece of advice that I gave my friend is that if he's going to go to the red light district, and if you try, for instance, to get their attention because you want to talk to them or you want to negotiate some sort of a price, do not knock on the door with any object, with a coin, with your knuckles. Don't do that because you're gonna piss them off. They don't like when people knock on their doors for whatever reason. I guess you just have to make like a hand gesture to let them know that you're actually interested, or just make eye contact with them, and then you can approach. They'll open the door and then they'll start negotiating with you. But under no circumstances should you knock on the door with a coin. I actually did that when I was there, and she was not happy. She gave me the eye, man. She was pissed off at me. I think she was either Russian or Italian. I think she looked more Russian because she was a blonde-haired woman, and she wasn't very happy about this. But yeah, it was an interesting. It was definitely an interesting trip, to say the least. The airport is very conveniently located right next to the downtown area. I remember we actually caught a taxi cab, and we got to the downtown area within 15 minutes or so, 18 minutes. It wasn't a very long trip. As I mentioned, the people there, by and large, are very sour, very antisocial. I mean, at least that's the vibe that I was getting during that week that I was there. But it's a beautiful city, though. I really enjoyed it. It was the weather was perfect. It was really nice. It got dark like around 11 at night, believe it or not, because we actually arrived there in late May, early June, so it was around the summertime. It gets really nice, the weather that by and large throughout the course of the year tends to be extremely cold and very wet in Amsterdam. But we got to the city at a very, very good time of the year. But anyway, if any of you guys have recently been to Amsterdam and have see any difference from how it was back in the 2000s or early 2000s, let me know down in the comment section if anything has changed regarding, the recreational pot, regarding the means of transportation. I know that back then in 2004, a lot of Dutch people were just riding around on their bicycles. Pretty much everybody, it seemed like. Let me know if that has changed. And also the red light district. Are they still charging 50 euros? I'm curious to know for a 10 to 15 minute session. Even though I didn't have any, I didn't get with any women, believe it or not. That was a going rate, and I'm wondering if it went up. I'm pretty sure it's probably a lot more expensive now, because this is, like I said, this was 18 years ago. But man, some of the women were really hot. They looked like Playboy models. Other women, as I mentioned, were grandmothers, basically. They were in their 60s, 65. They were about to depart this planet, if you know what I mean. But you saw a variety of different people there. And so, yeah, just wanted to make this video. It just triggered my mind, this conversation that I had with my friend, and about my time in Amsterdam. Maybe I'll go back there one of these days. Highly doubt it, but you never know. Anyway, just wanted to share my experience down there. And like I mentioned, if you guys have been to Amsterdam recently, leave some comments below and let me know if anything has changed in the last 18 years. Thanks you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.